Hello. Thanks for being patient. That one was about 6 minutes long, almost 7, so I wanted to be sure that messages are reasonable. Okay, a couple of things. We're having a business meeting now. To get ready for the next few days, by the end of today, everyone in our class, all friends, will have their toolboxes returned to them, and then some of your workbooks from school, which when school closed last week, I didn't know we would need them or not. And so kindly I was able to get them with the help of Mrs. Marshall. Thank you, Mrs. Marshall, wherever you are. And I will be using those tools with you. I remember, yesterday was really busy in my brain. I did take my copies of the math books, but I didn't remember to take my nation and world books. So we're still going to work in them, but I won't have mine to show you. I might need some of your help to show it back to me so I can remember what page we were on and what we did on them until I'm able to get them from the classroom again. To be ready, I also made a folder for everyone with some of our science and social studies magazines. Everyone has a bunch. I think there's maybe 10 or 12 of them in there. When you have a chance, go through the folder and find this one. It says, Kids Who Care. What a great first magazine to talk about, because we'll be talking about people, children in other places who do things to care for other people, and that's going to be one of our assignments to talk about right away, is for you to do something similar right now during this school closure. So if you look for this magazine and put it someplace so you'll be able to use it, we'll do one of the magazines together, and then after that, there'll be a video, and I'll send your dads and moms and families instructions on how to do that with you. And then, like I mentioned before, you can choose when you want to do a magazine. The middle of the day, or the beginning of the day, or the evening, or on the weekend. I'll be doing the videos Mondays through Fridays, and then the weekends, like weekends, will be the same without school, but you can certainly choose to do things. Just like the packets that I prepared for all the kindergarten classes. Those are online, which means your parents use the computers to get to them. I know some people told me that they are already working on those packets. That's terrific. And please continue with that. Those are extras. I developed those before I decided to do these videos. So those can be extra things or in place of. If you choose to not do one of the activities that I'm showing you here in the video, there's lots of options in the packets. There's art, science, social studies, and some other things that are included in there, like hidden pictures from highlights, which I really love to look for. Okay, so those are the things. Let me check my list. And then these pages, like we use for greatest and least, I copied 50 of them yesterday, but then in the scramble to get out of the school, I had to leave at a special time. I didn't get to put these into your folders yesterday. So I'm going to send it again to your dads and moms, and they'll print one out. And I have 50 here when the next time we see each other. And then have this ready. So these two things are two things to be ready that we'll need later on. A few things I'd like you to look for in your house to see if you can find for reference and for tools. If you have playing cards, that have like hearts and spades and clubs and those will be helpful for something coming up in about 5 days or so. If you're able to find a bunch of them, even if you don't have a full set, or if you have a full set, that would be helpful. On my list yesterday in class, but I forgot to do it because I got really busy, were the yellow dice like we use. There's some lessons coming up in about 5 or 8 days. So if you have some games that have dice in them, if you could get 2 of those, if you have them, remember which game box you took them from, so they can be returned when other people want to play games at your house. But you can start looking for those. And if you don't have playing cards or dice, I'll give some tips next time about how to make a replacement material to use for that. Okay, and then the other is, if you could make an initial card, a card not too big, or a piece of paper that has your initials on it. Remember, that's the first letter of your first name and the first letter of your last name. because this is on the internet, I want to be careful about student identity. But what I'd like to do is to say hello to you each time we see you, kind of like we did attendance in class. But what I'll do is I'll say your initials. And so, like, my initials are KGG. My first letter K, my first name is Kevin. My middle initial G for George. Remember we talked about middle names? I never told you mine. My middle name is George, named after my grandfather, and the last name Gallagher. Very often when I send emails to your families, I just sign KGG. It's a way of communicating who is sending the mail. And so what I'd like to do is to go through a list, and I would say your initials so you know that I'm seeing and thinking of you. And what I'd like you to do when we do that is to hold your initial card up so I can see it and then be able to say your initials. And then when I see yours, you can put it down, but keep it someplace so you can use it for the next day. So an initial card, hopefully by tomorrow. Playing cards and dice for a bunch of days. These 2 papers in maybe 3 days, I think would be okay. Okay, let me check my list. Okay. What I'd like to do each day is to read a book. And I have a book for today. It's a book I've never seen before. It's called Old MacDonald Had a Boat. And it's written by Stephen Getz and Ida Caban. And of course, so many times, you know, I have stories to tell about how things happened or what I did. And so before I read that book, I'm going to tell you the story a little bit about how I got the book. I'll be back in just a second.